Hello, everyone. Welcome to Novel Nights. I'm Victoria.
I'm Laura.
I'm Francesca.
And we're back. The trio is back together for a weekly Novel Night. Yay. We're glad to have Francesca back. And today we are doing all things fall. This is going to be Novel Nights, your ultimate fall night in, because we're going to be sharing books, activities, things to do, talk about autumn, fall, up north, down south. We're doing all the things, fall reading challenge plus more. So if you're looking for all the fall inspiration, is that a word? Well, I made it a word. If you're looking for all the fall inspiration, this episode is just for you. So stay tuned.
I'm Francesca.
I'm Victoria.
I'm Laura.
And welcome to Novel Nights. Yay! Welcome to Novel Nights, everyone. The trio is back. I think it's just fitting Francesca starts with a week update. You've been on holiday. You've been away to Greece. I know the viewers know this because if you were here with us last week, she sent in a video update and that was really fun. So Fran, tell us all about what the past couple of weeks have been.
Yeah, so I did go to Greece for about 2.5 weeks, and it was mainly a trip to visit family, my husband's family. So it was actually my first time visiting where he's from, and he's from the island of Crete. So it was really nice, really relaxing also. I feel like I really needed a relaxing vacation. And as much as we did go around and obviously visited a lot of family, ate a lot of food. But we did get to just relax by the beach a lot and kind of explore a little bit of where he's actually from, like where his parents are from. So that was nice. Also, I got to kind of get those feelings again about like having family just pop in at all times. So that was nice. I had to like make sure that I looked presentable and had a bra even though I had my pajama. So that was fun.
Okay.
So I'm on mute today. That was Laura last live. Okay. No, I was saying that's so funny because that reminds me of growing up where you wake up and you can't be in jammies past 9 because anyone can come around. Actually, they can come around for breakfast and for tea and coffee super early. So yeah, that just kind of took me all the way back. Yeah. But Laura, what's
one thing is they were bringing food. So, always welcome.
Hey, you can't complain about food at all. But Laura, what's been happening with you this week?
So I've been watching a lot of TV. Basically, I've been cozying it in, staying in. I watch The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and I'm still in it with all the memes and all the TikToks and thinking, can Mom Talk survive this at any moment, any issue? So I watched that. I also watched The Perfect Couple, which we recapped, and we're going to show like a little bit more. So we talked about that. Love the intro, love the song. Still thinking about the dance and thinking about practicing my choreography and watching Tell Me Lies, which is been a slug. Like I would tell you the first few episodes I've been just distracted for the most part, but I still hate Steven. I read the book, I hate Steven, and now I understand. I'm on almost episode 9. And so of season 1. So I'm like, yeah, Steven is the worst. And so yeah, full of red flags. And there'll be an episode coming up in the podcast full of toxic men that reminds you of Steven, and they have their own romance. What else can you ask for?
Oh my gosh, I've been wanting to watch Tell Me Lies. I just haven't gotten around to it. But I do plan to probably binge it this weekend because I've spent the past week, 2 weeks, just kind of ironing out the guide. So I'm really excited to watch something. And Mormon Wives is catching my attention. I would be lying if I don't feel like I might prioritize that first.
That's a first.
So I think that's what I might end up doing. But for what I actually watched, like Laura said, The Perfect Couple, we watched that and recapped it. So you can check the channel for that live replay. We talked about all the characters, all 6 episodes. It's a limited 6-episode series. It's based on Ellen Hildebrand's book. I love the series. It was fun. So if you're kind of still holding on to summer, if the weather is still great, and if you want that escapism, watch it. I was here for the choreography, and I'm probably going to pull it up on YouTube and slow it down and then learn the dance and then maybe come back next week and do a little something. But I enjoyed The Perfect Couple. It was fun. It was a good time.
So I encourage you to prioritize Mormon Wives because it's 8 episodes. It ends with a cliffhanger. You want to know more. You want a reunion. You want everything. But it's Mean Girls meet Real Housewives, early Real Housewives, where they know each other, but they're working towards one thing, which is mom talk. And they're the breadwinners in this really traditional lifestyle that is questionable because they can do ketamine and they get laughing gas and Botox, but they cannot drink coffee. And you're like, it make sense. So it's just like you learn about Mormonism and all the different things. It's what Salt Lake City strives to be. So good. So, and then Tell Me Lies, do not watch it with kids because there's a lot of sex, like a lot. And it's very explicit. So do not watch it with kids, do not watch it with minors or anything. Watch it on your iPad, maybe not watch it on the big screen unless you want to, but it's a pretty it's more racy than a regular TV show. Like The Perfect Couple was pretty minor. They only had a kiss. So
oh yeah, I would encourage folks. You can watch The Perfect Couple. It's actually really fun. It's a murder mystery drama with a side of comedy because I think it was funny. But let us know in the comments if you've watched any book to screen adaptations. Would love to hear from you all. But for right now, yeah, I have Lady in the Lake under my belt and now The Perfect Couple. And yeah, I've been having fun. But today we're talking all about fall, everything fall. This is like the ultimate fall night in, right? Not just gals, it's the girls, it's the guys, it's the theys. We're welcoming everyone to a fall night in. We're going to be talking everything fall. And I feel like the first thing we should talk about is the differences with fall depending on where you live. So we 3 are all in the South. We're all in Florida. So what fall looks like for us is slightly different. So I think maybe let's start with that. And we have this graphic, okay? So this is fall. Fran, tell us about the fall, the signs of fall in Florida.
Well, one thing that I always strive to live somewhere where I could experience fall because I grew up in Panama. There is no fall. It's always hot. So I always would watch these shows and I'm like, oh, that looks so nice. And I did get my fix with, living in New York, but fall in Florida, it's a little bit more fall than if you're, in Latin America. However, you see people they start to break out their hoodies when it gets to 75, but they're still wearing shorts and flip-flops. And I love that. I actually really love seeing that. Or I do that myself. One thing I don't partake in is the pumpkin spice or whatever themed drinks iced. I still need everything hot. I'm like that weirdo that's asking for the hot stuff going through Starbucks. I don't care, but everybody's doing it iced. And definitely something that is very fall for Florida is the late season hurricane. So that's something to look forward to that we have. Absolutely. We don't have, the trees don't change really the colors here in Florida. So we don't get to really have that beautiful scenery. It just all stays the same or gets really dry. And you're still sweating the whole time. So I don't get to wear the fun fall clothes unless I wear them inside, which I do all the time. I still have my blanket, I still have my sweater because I'm cranking up the AC.
I love it. I mean, you don't see the trees like changing color, but what we do have, because I do notice this at the park, the more inland you go, when you go to like the parks more inland, is they'll shed some of their leaves. So I noticed that, and because the fall, as we get into fall, it's like fall's interesting. It's really, really wet, then it gets really, really dry. So it's like we're progressing into the dry. So things just kind of like, I say, dry up. That's how it looks to me. But I will often say, if I make it to September, I might skip a hurricane. So we're still in September. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I'm like, most of them, especially the bad ones. So if we make it past September, we're good. And yes, we pick sunflowers and strawberries instead of apples. And I live for that. I don't know about the pumpkin patch. I'll look, it looks pretty. And to be honest, don't ask me why.
I would never do it.
Not here. I've been to pumpkin patch up north, but not here. It's too hot for that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big fundraising thing down here. Like our church does a pumpkin patch every year, and people show up. Like people love it.
And they're drenched in sweat.
Yes, but they have competitors now. So I think in our county, we probably have like 4 pumpkin patches. I'm like, okay,
Oh my God.
This is getting out of control. I don't buy all the fall goods at Trader Joe's because I don't have one near me, but I do get what I can get from Publix. And now my sister's telling me, and Laura's been telling me to go to Sprouts. So
yeah.
I'm all about the iced cold brew pumpkin spice. and like I love iced coffee. I've come to terms that I loved it. I used to drink hot coffee when I was up north. No longer did. I actually switched over when I was in Chicago, and I still kept drinking iced coffee in Chicago. So cure myself. I think this Florida and the South is the Princess Diana weather. So it's the sweatshirt and the bike shorts and sneakers. It's like, this is the weather. This is a time where we're going to do a Princess Diana outfit.
Yeah.
The people's princess. And I have to tell you, I've gone apple picking. It is fun, but there's a lot of like abundance of apples, and you're like, okay, what am I going to do with all of them? Make pies, maybe. But like, I love the idea of picking up strawberries. It's like, oh, this will be fun because you can just consume them so easy. You can make jam. You know, it's not like this. A pound of strawberries is not the same as a pound of apples. So
that is true. That is true. But everyone, these are the signs of fall in Florida. There's lots more. If you are a fellow Floridian, let us know. But also, if you are living somewhere else, tell us what the signs of fall are where you're living. I think that's really what it comes down to, because it just so happens to be all 3 of us. We live in Florida. But let us know what the signs of fall look like for you in the comments. Replay crew, we'd love to hear from you as well. I think Laura said apple picking was something she was fond of up north. What is something you were fond of, Francesca?
I think for me it was just enjoyable because like the weather itself, like just going for a walk and like being able to breathe. Because like you think of New York and you may not think of humidity, but it is pretty humid. And as soon as that weather starts to turn, like you just want to go out. You just want to be outside. You want to go for a walk. You just like enjoy it. And I think that was my favorite part. Like I wouldn't even mind having to like park somewhere and have to walk to where I was going because it was still like, oh my God, I can breathe. So that part was fun.
Yeah, I like being outside when it's cool. I think I miss the outfits. That's what I was just going to say. I miss the outfits. I think I miss the outfits more than anything else. I guess acclimated to Florida, but I do miss the cooler weather, you know, and the cute outfits. I gave away lots of boots. I donated a bunch, but I held on to one pair. Actually, I held on to one pair of boots, one pair of wellies. And I'm just like, man, I wish. But anyway, everyone, let us know, you know, what are the signs of fall where you're living and what do you like to do? But I want us to kind of get into some seasonal living vibes and just how you can be, I guess, more present for the season of fall. I'm just going to fly through these real quick. Connect with nature. I know we just talked about walking outside in the cooler weather. That's a great thing you can do. I think you can also go to local orchards, kind of like Laura said, and apple picking and, doing that kind of thing. Another thing you can do is decorate your home, but you can only, if you want, lightly do it. If you have a whole bunch of stuff, just, go ham with all your pumpkin decor, also Halloween decor, if you want to get a head start, because some people are already decorated. I'm telling you, these people are good to go. But red, orange, and yellows, I feel, are signature colors for fall. So you can consider incorporating these, whether it's just switching your pillowcases, like I said, leaves, acorns, pumpkins, that can help, bed linens, just light things where you don't feel like you're buying too much. Autumn flavors are huge. Now, I drink hot things even in the middle of summer because it's just me. I don't do iced coffee. It's not my vibe. Sorry, Laura. And it took me a while to grow on iced tea, but I still prefer hot. So consider like ciders, lattes, hot chocolate, whatever works for you. You can get the iced version. Pumpkin treats, squash treats, sweet potatoes for me. I love those. Soups and chilies scream fall. So that's something you can do. And consider starting a hobby and use your hobbies as gifts for Christmas. So for me right now, everything I'm doing hobby-based is going to be a gift for someone for Christmas. So, if you haven't started your knitting, I highly recommend knitting, crocheting now. Mm-hmm. I normally say get going in summer, but get going now, paintings and stuff like that. You can start painting Christmas cards if that's what you want to do. So you have them ready for the holiday. So do a new hobby. That's a great way. And also declutter and donate. I know people focus on spring cleaning and, purging during the spring, but I think of the autumn, the fall as a transitional season as well. So purge your house because the odds are you're probably going to accumulate a bunch more during the holidays, whether you're purchasing or whether you're receiving gifts. But those are just my thoughts. What do you all think in terms of like seasonal living?
I think one thing I would add is probably I have a dark theme today, apparently. But I talked about this in my community newsletter actually today too. And it's kind of like the witch core vibe. So you can definitely incorporate more of that dark, moody, witchy vibe into your lifestyle for the fall. When it comes to decor, you could add like little crystals to your decoration, maybe like on your windowsill. You can add also dry herbs, moon phase decor, things like that. So you can really get like a witchy kind of vibe in your house. And also you can be more intentional with, for example, like journaling, like set intentions. You can also get into, and maybe this is something new for you, but maybe you can try tarot and maybe pull a tarot card every day, or kind of like learn a little bit more about that or about astrology, whichever one like calls you. So it's probably a great time for you to like explore those subjects. There's a lot of information online that you can consume and incorporate into your daily life. And I mean, it can be as simple as setting the mood and just like wrapping yourself in a blanket with like a nice herbal tea and a candle and kind of get that vibe going. Nice playlist and just relax and enjoy. So I think fall is also a great time to be a little bit more moody and introspective.
I love that. And you know what I was thinking, because I have a video on the channel, dark academia. So it's interesting. Dark academia is a subgenre, but it's also an aesthetic. It's also a lifestyle. Like some people actually, incorporate that into their life. So like, even though you might not be going to school, but that back to school aesthetic, but dark academia is its whole thing. So from switching up your wardrobe, plaids, tweeds, that kind of thing, school themed, darker, like maybe makeup, fall themed outfits, decorate. I love the candle thing. I think that's really, really cool. Fairy lights or tea lights, and just, really get with the mood. But I do have a video on the channel about dark academia, kind of really explaining what it is, both as a genre, a subculture, and an aesthetic. So yeah, it's definitely a vibe. I think the last thing that I'd like to add, because we are readers, is a fall reading challenge. So I'm just going to share that with you very quick. So Biblio Lifestyle, we're doing a fall reading challenge, and we have 3 themes. Or I should say 3 prompts. So it's pretty easy to kind of, stick with it, because I know fall tends to be super busy. So our 3 prompts are: read a classic novel you've always wanted to read. I also feel like that's a dark academia thing too. It does kind of focus on like classics, philosophy, poetry, just those really thought-provoking things. So consider a classic novel you've always wanted to read, but you didn't get around to. Pick up a book from a genre you've never explored before. So if there's a genre you don't normally read, consider that. If you read across genres, pick up a genre that you don't read as often. And then the last one is select a book that explores themes of change and transformation, because again, I do consider autumn, the fall time, to be a transitional season. So definitely consider picking up a book or 2 from that has themes of change and transformation. Now, if you're an overachiever and you're like, 3 prompts, that's it, just double up, triple up, whatever you want to do. So you can add more books to your TBR. But if you're looking for a fall reading challenge, you can find that on the website, bibliolifestyle.com. I'll include a link in the show notes. You can also find it inside our fall reading guide. And I'll share more about that when I get to the book sharing segment. But yeah, I think that's a good roundup of like activities and things to do, seasonal living and the like. So if anyone watching, if you're watching live or you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments what activities you like doing during the fall. Share recommendations that might be helpful to some folks, seasonal living ideas or the like, because we'd love to hear from you. Okay. So continuing in our fall night in, our ultimate fall episode, we're going to share some books now. And Francesca, so we've been talking warm and fuzzy and cozy. Well, Francesca's going to give us some book recommendations, and then more on the fantasy dark side. So Francesca, take it away.
Yes. So I actually wanted to bring more of dark recommendations. And I also, kind of weird, I didn't necessarily go so much for like the normal creatures that we tend to see a lot, like vampires and witches and the like. So the first book that I want to recommend to you guys, it's coming out at the end of September 24th. And I'm shouting everywhere about this book because I loved it. It's A Fire in the Sky by Sophie Jordan. And I would say if you enjoyed Rebecca Yarros, then definitely you should check out this one. It is a dragon romance, and it will be a series, so you'll be able to follow along. This is the book that sets everything up in the world, and it does have a very medieval kind of Game of Thrones feel. So you're not going to see a ton of shape shifting in this book, more towards the end, but there is an arranged kind of forced marriage. The heroine was kind of serving this royal family, and she was the girl that would get that she would take the punishments for the royal daughters. And there's kind of a barbarian that comes in, and he helped the royal family with a war, and he is demanding the royal daughter as in marriage, and they kind of like use her and pretend that, well, she is the daughter because she's been part of the family. So she goes on and has to basically do her last service for the family. And I absolutely loved it. It's so good. There's so much chemistry between them, and I just absolutely loved it. So if there's one book that you pick up from this list, it's got to be this one, although there's another one that I really, really loved. So, okay, let's move on to the second book, and it's The Darkest Waltz by Ashley R. King. This is more of a gothic historical romance. It is kind of like 1920s Prohibition. The heroine is in her early 20s, and she is basically alcohol smuggler, and their arrival of hers finds out where her alcohol stash is, and she basically thinks she's going to lose everything, and she gets a proposal from this guy to marry him, and because he needs a wife to get his inheritance, which is a railroad company, and she feels it's a great arrangement because she gets to go live with him, and he lives in this really secluded island, and she could stash her alcohol there. And of course, island is haunted and cursed and all of this stuff. So she thinks she starts to go crazy and lose her sanity. So lots of kind of like that gothic island, secluded island vibe, which I really love. So definitely look out for that. That's also coming out at the end of September, I think the 23rd. The other one that I really think you guys need to pick up is The House at Watch Hill by Karen Marie Moning. I know that I don't need to recommend Karen Marie Moning to anybody, but that's the Wraith King. The House at Watch Hill is her new series. It's going to be a trilogy, I think, and it is a Southern Gothic urban fantasy. And this first book also sets up the series. You don't get to see a ton of the paranormal element just towards the end, but it's sort of underlying throughout the whole book, and you're basically getting to know the story. The heroine is very young, and she's lived her life with just her mother, and her mother's been sick for a really long time, and she dies at the beginning of the book, and she gets a phone call from some mysterious lawyer in a town in Louisiana saying that she has this inheritance from her family, and it's a house, and she has to travel to this town to claim the inheritance. When she reaches there, it turns out to be this huge mansion. It comes obviously with terms and conditions. She has to live in the house for 3 years before she can get the inheritance, which is the house and a ton of money. And for her and her financial condition, she decides she's going to go through with it, and she's going to stay there and abide by all the rules. And she slowly realizes there's more to the town, the people, and the house itself. And she starts to discover all of that, and also herself and her powers, because she didn't know that she was any kind of supernatural creature herself. So I really enjoyed this one. I think this is going to be a great series. I actually call it like a mix of the Fever series by Karen Marie Moning and the Sookie Stackhouse series by Sherlyn Harris. So kind of like if those two had a baby, that would be the vibe of this book. So I think that you would really enjoy it, especially if you like that Southern flair. I think that she did that really well. It does have that very Gothic vibe, from all angles. So I really enjoyed it. If you want something kind of more subdued, I would say, is not so in your face and high stakes in this book, but that's kind of something that is quite common with Karen Marie Moning. So I would say as the series goes on, it's probably going to get more intense. The next book is The Wraith King. Oh, and that comes out October 1st. The next one is The Wraith King by Julia Cross. It's also the first in a new series. And I tend to think of Julia Cross with funny paranormal romance. This one is a romantasy. I've seen it pitched as a dark Gothic romantasy, and kind of the cover gives you that vibe, but I would say it's definitely not dark. So if you're not into dark romance, it's totally fine. This is not a dark romance. It's just really a sweet story, I would say. So it's a fae world, and there's different kind of faes. There's 5 different kinds of fae, and the 2 main characters are light and dark fae. The heroine is the princess of the light fae, and the hero is also the prince of the dark fae. And they're basically fated to be together and to overturn the whole world order of what's going on. Both of them are coming from places where they had very different kind of ideas of what their past was. So they both think very different things of each other and what their kind has done in the past. And the light fae has been ruling, and now the dark fae, it's kind of their time to shine. So it's a really fun book. I would say it's actually quite similar in vibe to A Fire in the Sky by Sophie Jordan. So again, if you like kind of like that vibe, you would enjoy this one. There are dragons. There's not shape shifting in it, but there are dragons. So if you're into dragon romantasy, you will probably enjoy this one as well. And it does come out, I think, also September 24th. And the last one that I have for you guys is Anathema by Carrie Lake. This one just came out and it is on Kindle Unlimited. And Carrie Lake is kind of like the queen of dark gothic fantasy romance. So this one I'm super excited to read. It just came out, I think, a couple of days ago. And it is basically about this mortal woman, and she gets shunned and thrown basically into this enchanted evil forest. And as she's going through, and she discovers this lord that is basically an assassin, but he's tasked with protecting her because her blood is actually what's going to remove his curse, and also the curse that's on the woods themselves. But there are obviously forces that want to kill her because there is an arcane prophecy that if she's sacrificed, something's going to happen. So I'm super excited to read this one. I know that it's going to be dark because that is what I know to expect with Carrie Lake. So if you're looking for something dark, then this is going to be the darkest one of the bunch. And that's the ones that I have.
What do you think about these, Laura? I mean, I haven't heard of any of these books, so they're like all brand new.
I'm excited for the Julia Cross, and I'm glad that you read it. You're like, okay, it's a sweet. It's not the end. It's not as dark as you think.
It's not dark.
So I'm glad, and I have actually access to the Sophie Jordan one, and I'm curious. I was like, all these dragon shifters. I think with Fourth Wing, obviously, all these dragons are now the new thing. It was like after ACOTAR, it was all fairies, and now we're just gonna go down to dragons. So I'm excited for what the next romantasy being will look like in 5 years from now.
I know. I'm excited dragons are getting their moment though.
Yeah,
I love dragons.
I want vampires to come back. I feel like they're slowly coming back, but I want the vampires to just make a bang about it.
Yeah. The vampires that are coming back now are not my vampires.
Yeah.
Like, I want them darker. They're too cutesy.
They're too cute. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I have to say, my books have been peeking out and like wanting to make their own appearance. I'm like, okay, technology is not my friend today. But anyway, everyone, I am sharing books today. I guess you could call it a preview from my fall reading guide. So that's a cover just in case you all haven't seen it yet. I shared little sneak peeks, I think, on a different live. But if you're watching right now live, the guide will be available tomorrow. So if you go to fallreadingguide.com, you can sign up and you'll be the first person to get it tomorrow. So it's coming out Friday the 13th. Keep your fingers crossed that all goes well on Friday the 13th. But so I'll be sharing a couple of books from the guide, just I guess as a little preview. So the fall reading guide this year has 33 books. I know it's an odd number, but it has 33 books in 8 categories. So we have 8 literary fiction, 3 nonfiction, 3 historical fiction, 3 books with themes of family and friendship, 6 mysteries and thrillers, 6 romance, 3 science fiction and fantasy, and 3 books that are more like gothic and horror-based books. So that's what you can expect in a guide. Now, I'm just going to share some of the books that I highly recommend. So the literary fiction selection from the guide is Entitlement by Rumaan Alam. That's the standout book that I'm recommending that you read. This book comes out September 17th. And Entitlement kind of looks at this woman. She's a Black woman. She's educated at Vassar. She ends up being a teacher. And she ends up leaving her teaching job because we all know teaching doesn't pay. And she becomes a protege to this billionaire. And she works at his charitable foundation. And the guy's rich. And we see her kind of really being enamored with all the privileges and the wealth that, comes with being in this job. And what happens is we see her ambition get the best of her, and we see how this kind of really leads her to make questionable decisions and choices. So this is a novel that really explores how the proximity to money can actually alter your point of view and how you kind of move through life. So I really enjoyed this one. I think it's really special. So I hope people will consider picking up Entitlement by Rumaan Alam. His previous book was Leave the World Behind. That was really, really good. So yes, I love his work, needless to say. So that's literary fiction. The nonfiction selection that I am recommending is The Roman Year by André Aciman. Now, this is nonfiction, and I know people know André Aciman from his fiction, but this one is a memoir, and it's about his experiences as a refugee in Rome after his family was expelled from Egypt. So we kind of really see the emotional and the financial toll faced by him and his family. His mom is deaf, so we see her having to navigate this new place. He also has a younger brother, and because of the financial constraints and their lives being so dependent on an uncle of theirs, who he's the stingy uncle, right? So kind of very tight with the money. So we see how the family just kind of navigates and being a refugee in Rome. However, we see Andre through his newfound space in terms of doing interpretive work. So he's an interpreter. We see him kind of really leaning into that, and of course finding comfort in books and reading. And over time, we see him develop an affection for Rome. So this is kind of like a coming of age story, while also reflecting on his life back home in Egypt and, his new home here in Rome. But what I really appreciated as someone who loves Rome is just, the descriptions of the city. So I love kind of seeing Rome in this light. So you kind of get some armchair traveling with that as well. So that's my nonfiction selection, The Roman Year by André Aciman. Now, my historical fiction selection in the guide is, I'm kind of known notoriously to not pick traditional historical fiction. So yes, you'll find the occasional World War II novel in there, but if I'm going to focus on a war, I try to get World War I or some other war like Korea, Vietnam, that kind of vibe. But then I'll pick something just completely different. And the one that is completely different is The Imposium. Now, I cannot pronounce Olga's last name. Every time I try, it comes out wrong. And I love her work. I'm a big fan. So from Flights to the Book of Jacob to the Bones of the Dead book. I forgot that one because that one was actually one of my favorites. But anyways, in The Imposium, the novel follows a young Polish man who seeks treatment for tuberculosis at this sanitarium. And it's located in this mountain town. I forgot the name. But anyway, the resort is full of people. So he ends up staying at this nearby inn. And we see strange occurrences starting to unfold. And by the way, this is set like early 19th century. So I forgot the date, like early 20th century, yeah. But anyway, a whole bunch of odd things start to happen. And we see him connecting with people and, trying to find out what's going on. And then we see the men at this facility kind of, debating on life, from politics to gender differences and just, where we're going in the future. Because obviously this is set early 20th century. So anyway, it's a very suspenseful narrative. There's also some mystery, but there's also lots of thought. And I really enjoyed it. And this one comes out September 17th. And I forgot to say The Roman Year comes out in October sometime. So again, remember the fall reading guide. I read all these books in advance, right, to share them with you. So when you get the guide, you'll see all the books coming out like around September. I might include a late August because there's a late August book or two in there. But the books are September, October, November. That's a kind of range. So those are the kinds of books you can expect. Okay, the next book I want to share with you is a book with themes of family and friendship. And the book I'm recommending is Shred Sisters by Betsy Lerner. This one comes out in October. And we see our main character in the story. Her name is Amy. We see her kind of navigating her childhood, We have coming of age elements and her into early adulthood, as we see her life being influenced by her older sister. Now, her older sister her life is very chaotic and very tumultuous. So we kind of see, living with a rebellious sibling and how, another sibling comes of age and navigates life, having to live with that. So this is set in Connecticut, and we see this family dynamic along with our main character's journey. So we see Amy's journey. So we see her being an outsider in her community, but also within her family, to becoming a more self-sufficient and determined adult. So I think what makes this one really stand out is we got to see the compelling relationships with not just the sister, but with her parents and also partners. It kind of read like a memoir, I have to be honest. It really did, but I still really enjoyed it. So so Shred Sisters by Amy Lerner. Okay, something more fun, thrillers. Okay, let me remove some stuff here. So let me get my thriller pick up. Okay, so my thriller pick is You Can't Hurt. And this is very interesting. Like, the title is literal. So You Can't Hurt Me by Emma Cook follows this journalist who is doing some work for this neuroscientist, like helping to write his, I think it's like his memoir or something. She's helping him do some writings, long story short. And she's like a ghostwriter behind the scenes. And while she's doing this, she learns more about his wife who has passed away. And she realizes, oh my gosh, there's something with this woman. She can't feel any pain, right? And she mysteriously dies. So just think about it, like someone who exists who can't feel pain, and then they die under mysterious circumstances. So we see her because as she's so close to this man and she's, writing for him, she's like, something's up. And because she's so close to him as well, she is seeing his diaries, the wife's diaries, and stuff like that. So she really starts to question things. And then it doesn't help that an investigation has been opened again to look into the wife's death. So of course, we see our main character, the journalist, having to navigate the secrets, but also the motives around her without, getting in harm's way herself. So that's the mystery and thriller one. For romance, I'm definitely more contemporary romance kind of girly. And the book I'm recommending, I feel, just has a little bit of everything. So you get romance, you get cozy, and all the things. And it's Best Hex Ever by Nadia El Fassi. Love this book. I felt it just checked so much boxes for me. And it felt very fall, autumn, wintry, and all the things, right? So this one follows Kitchen Witch. And she runs this cafe in London. And it was really fun because she can cast spells for other people, but she has a curse on herself that she can't fix. But like, she can, because she runs a cafe, you can go and you can get like a beverage or like, a pastry or whatever, and she can make it so, it makes you feel better or give you a bit of luck or bring back positive memories or just whatever it is that you're looking for. But anyway, she can cast spell for others, but she can't get rid of a hex, and the hex on her is that anybody she tries to get in a relationship with, bad things are going to happen to that person, so it's like, it really affects her love life. She meets this guy who works at the British Museum, and, sparks fly between them and all that, but she's hesitant to pursue a romance with him because of said hex. Anyway, she becomes the maid of honor at her friend's wedding, and then the friend's wedding, the friend is marrying the museum guy's friend, and the museum guy is the best man. So we see them kind of running back into each other at the wedding, during the wedding happenings, because he's the best man and she's the maid of honor. So, that's kind of how they're brought back together again. And through the festivities, we see them, get to know each other. Of course, sparks are flying, and she has to decide whether or not she can actually lift the hex or if she should pursue this and just embrace come what may. So I loved it. You get magic, you get romance, you get friendship, you get family. So that was just kind of like giving all the things I personally wanted. Okay, our science fiction fantasy selection is A City in Glass. And I have to say, I love everything. I forgot how you say her name. Nevo, I forgot. Anyway, love everything this author writes. So this is a science fiction fantasy selection, and we meet a demon who kind of has this, what do you call it? Like her city, yeah, like a community and area. And it's a very nice and vibrant place. But then we see like some angels come and destroy the city. So she captures one of the angels who destroyed her place and kind of binds the angel with this curse. So we see her, because the place is destroyed. So we see her trying to rebuild the place. And she forms like this odd, complicated relationship with the angel that she has, hexed and bonded. So we see them kind of building a relationship while she is rebuilding the city and just kind of overcoming the hatred. And we see like histories come to the surface and just seeing them kind of navigating each other. So it's very transformative, their relationship. So we see kind of it moving from like anger, hate, and loss to one of like love and redemption. But the world building is what's brilliant. Like this is a standalone novel, and it's just, it's brilliant. It's very immersive. So if you're looking for, demons and angels and a world destroyed and being rebuilt, this I think would be a good book for you. And then the last one is Gothic and horror. And the book I'm recommending is The Night Guest. And I cannot pronounce that author's name, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But just look for the book with a pretty bright pink cover entitled The Night Guest. Now, this is a horror. It's a psychological horror. And we have our main character, can't pronounce her name either. But she's this woman and she's suffering from chronic exhaustion. Like this woman is tired. All the medicine and therapies and things that she's trying is just not working for her, right? So anyways, come to find out, she gets up to some serious things at the night during nighttime. Like she's sleepwalking and doing all kinds of things. Let me just say that. But she doesn't know that she's doing these things. She's unaware. So it's only when she gets like this sleep tracker thing, she's able to kind of really see what's happening, because she would wake up with like injuries. And, like how you have your Apple Watches and things, and you have like a high walk count, like you check your steps. She's discovering like, I'm getting up to some crazy things, because she'll have like 40, 50,000 steps when she should be sleeping. So when she records herself, she legit sets up her phone, records herself, she realizes, oh my gosh, I am getting up to some serious bad things. And we see that kind of leading to some terrifying consequences. We see it kind of possibly threaten her life, and just some very disturbing events. Note, it is a horror, but it's more psychological horror. So just expect like really surreal elements, but there's like this build up and a bit grotesque, but great ending. I felt like this book's strength is in its ending. But anyways, that's it for my preview. I guess you could say these are the books from the Minimalist Reads list, and you can all find them inside the fall reading guide. So those are my books. What do y'all think? Crazy mix. Oh, you're on mute, Fran.
I think the fantasy looks amazing.
Yeah, it is
really,
good.
really good.
It is good. It's a quick read. I think of the selection in the guide, I'm in love with the fantasy and the fantasy and the Gothic horror selections. Mm-hmm. Like I'm always a literary girly at heart, but I'm really in love with those. And I think they are perfectly immersive for the fall. The standout romance is Best Hex Ever. I just thought that was just so fun. I love Kitchen Witches. I think that's my kind of favorite kind of witch. But yeah, so next up, Laura is going to be sharing her books. And I can't wait to hear, because they're more cozy. See, like Francesca gave you the dark. I gave you just a mix of all kinds of crazy. And now, Laura, we're going to end with a hug.
Yeah, we're going to end with a hug. Like, think Hallmark movies, think Stars Hollow. If you're watching Gilmore Girls for the umpteenth time, this is dope book for you. So if you have been on Book Talk and heard about the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which has been raving, everyone's talking about it, and like, there's more books. There's a Christmas Tree Farm coming out this holiday season. These are books for that. They're cozy. They're wonderful. Like, they're Hallmark movies some with spice, some with actually have open door scenes, and some of them are closed door scene. I want to note, if you're looking for closed door romances, because you're like, I just want to kiss and just that's it. A keyword that you want to look for in Amazon is sweet romances. That's a keyword. Sweet means closed door, you know, just like spicy and steam means open door. But we're going to go into the recommendations. So we're going to start with the cinnamon roll setup. So the cinnamon roll setup, basically it's they're friends to lovers, friends to more. Essentially what they're basically talking to each other, and he's asked her to set her up with guys. He asked her to set her up with females, and she's like, okay, I can set you up with it. I don't believe in love. He has a war gala and he has to go, but the caveat is if he doesn't like the girl that he sets him up, he's gonna ask her to spend more time with her. So she's like, okay, is he sabotaging because he's asking more time with her, and they're like, let's do more, and doing the whole thing. It's a whole runaround of like, I like you, but I'm not comfortable saying I like you, so I want you to go around it, set me up with somebody else, so then I can go back to I like you. It's cute. It's fall. Look at the thing. It's cinnamon roll. So we're not doing morally gray heroes. We're doing like healthy relationships here. So what else can you ask for? So this is a Friends to More's rom-com. Sweet. It's closed doors, system chemistry, but there's no explicit scene. So the next one is Coming Home to Stars Fall by Kate Hewitt. So this is the ultimate Gilmore Girls Hallmark movie. So Lori Ellis moves to Stars Fall for a fresh start. She's opening a pet store and a bakery despite her doubts about a rundown town. Businesses faces skepticism by Josh Morelli, grumpy bookstore owner. So God bless the bookstore owners, like small town, everyone's a business owner here. She's determined to succeed. Like she's like, I'm gonna make this work. A pet store, a bakery, and a bookstore owner. What else can you ask for? There is actually some mystery behind her experience. So for her past in the bookstore, so there's like some like little romantic suspense thing about it. But it's just cute, warm hug, Stars Hollow vibes. It's available on Kindle Limited. I think it comes out next week, but it's going to be in Kindle Limited. Actually, all these books are available in Kindle Limited. So, the next one is Fall Into You by Caroline Frank. So Fall Into You, I started. It actually it's explicit, so it's open door. It basically says like, she's in a tricky situation, but she falls for her brother's best friend. And she comes from a close-knit Italian family, and she's always embraced them. They're all involved in her life. And so when he reappears, basically she has broken up with the guy, and her brother's best friend decided that he was like actually in Sag Harbor at the time. This is kind of like summer house turns into fall. He actually comes in and spends his time, and she thinks like that he's going to be set up with him. And it turns out that that's not the case. The brother's like not happy about it. They go to a pumpkin patch. They do all this cutesy stuff, and they start dating in secret because she doesn't want her family to meddle around. Her brother doesn't like the fact they're together, but she's kind of like once she likes him. She had a crush on him when the hero and her brother lived together. So it's really cute. It's fun. It's just cozy. It's set in Long Island, Italian family. Think pasta, think Sunday dinner, just kind of like fun. So, and it's a touch forbidden because the brother's not happy about them together. So, the next one is also open door, and it's Fall Too Well by Erin Branscombe. So this one is the heroine returns to a small town. She's a single mother, and she finds herself with her former best friend, the man that she should have married. So that's the setup. It's a second chance. They're supposed to get married, but something happened. It's a second chance, and at the same time, she has a kid, and so she's exes are involved because obviously the exes are going to be involved, and all the different things. And so that's pretty much it's a second chance romance. It's rekindling the relationship, and it's set in the fall. It's all too well, or fall too well. So, and this is part of a series called the Cozy Creek series. So there's about 5 other books in the series, which are written by different authors. They're all set in the same fictional town. They're all or open door, and they're all cozy weather itself. And the final book is Just Done Fall by Emma Sinclair. This is also part of another series. This is a sweater weather series, and this is sweet. So that means they're closer romances. So there's actually I think there's 6 books in the series, and you can actually be able to find the audio on your library app. I've seen the audios from these series on the library, so you might be able to listen to it. So Just Don't Fall basically follows a former hockey star, bad boy, who returns to hometown after an injury and a bad press, and she's the social media manager, and she's supposed to basically kind of rehab his image. And in the process, they're fake dating. And as one does, fake dating leads to real feelings. And I think he's also brother's best friend. So there's they had a history together. So it just brings in the family history, the family involved, and they're not supposed to be together, but they all fake dating. And then they realize to have real feelings, and he's redeeming himself from being a bad boy. So that's Just Done Fall by Emma Sinclair. And those are my recommendations. You're muted.
I think that's a theme of today. It's we're muted. So I think I was really excited when you mentioned the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which I'm actually working on that book and that set and that series. So yeah, I read the Christmas one. It was fun. So when you're okay, these are for fans of Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I was okay, I'm really excited. But the one that really caught my attention was the series where multiple authors write books in the same universe. Mm-hmm. I think I'm really attracted to that idea. I don't think I've read something like that. I've read authors write anthologies and, that kind of multiple POVs, but to set it in the same universe, that's interesting to me.
So there are 3 of those have Just Done Fall parts the Sweater Weather series. The Fall to Well is Cozy Creek, which is the open door. And then the Cinnamon Roll setup is part of another series. And there's, I'll be posting on my Substack next week, all the different series that you can go into, but there's 4 of them that I identify. They're basically, you can find, if you find one book in Amazon, they're all attached together. So you can say all the other authors are part of the series. It's part of the same world. So what they probably do is they share the series Bible of characters, town maps, and all the different things, but the authors bring their own spin and their own way of writing, and so you get to see Easter eggs from other parts of the other books, but at the same time you have this world that the author has written. So it's kind of a fun thing.
Yeah,
I like it. I think it's fun. I know musicians do that. People sing songs and stuff, they'll have one rhythm, but then they have multiple people come on a beat, because I love that. It's so fun. So it's interesting to see that in a novel. But so I mean, that's our ultimate fall night in. We gave you activities, things to do, Florida versus everywhere else when it comes to autumn, and lots of book recommendations. Francesca has an insider that I want you to tell folks about.
It is not ready because I am super late. It was supposed to come out this week, but I got back super tired, so I've done nothing but rest for 2 days, basically. But yes, the September/Fall Insider is going to be probably coming out next week. And it's going to be free. You can download it at underthecoversinsider.com. I'll also let you guys know if you're already subscribed to our newsletter. You'll be able to get it right away. And I'll probably mention it on Novel Nights next week as soon as it's available. But it's going to have all the fall releases, fall tropes, and all that kind of vibe. And also a little bit more of what I was talking about before, the witch core vibes, what you can do for the fall, fall activities, and also a fall movie list. So I did include family-friendly movies, scary movies, 90s classics, romantic fall movies and all kinds of stuff. So there's lots of fall in there, and it's going to be out next week.
Yay, that's really exciting. I'm thrilled for it. And hey, I think we're all kind of a little behind this year because I am behind too, because the fall reading guide should have, in my opinion, should have been out already. But anyways, if you all are subscribed to the newsletter, the fall reading guide drops tomorrow. If you're not subscribed, just go to fallreadingguide.com. And any day after Friday the 13th, it will be automatically sent to your email inbox. So, just sign up and get the guide. It's fun. Also, don't forget the fall reading challenge. 3 prompts, read a classic novel, a book from a genre you don't normally read, and then also a book that has themes of transformation and change, because that is what fall is all about. So, I think that's it for today's novel night. Anything else I'm forgetting, anyone? No?
That's it.
No, we're good. Okay, well, I hope you join us next week, right? Same time, same place. I think I have the calendar. Okay, I do. So, upcoming shows. So last week, if you missed us last week, we did a back to school Kindle edition. That was really fun. If you're new to Kindle, Kindle Unlimited, reading on e-readers, all the good stuff, plus get book recommendations that you can get just a Kindle. Tune into that episode. We just did the fall reading guide. Next week, we're doing romantic thrillers. So show up for romantic thrillers. Then after that, we're having a bookish tea episode. I know it's not on this, but it will be on our outro. We're having a bookish tea, so we're going to be rounding up all the things that have been happening, and we're going to be chatting about it. Yeah, we're going to be spilling the tea. If you want to know, what kind of things we talk about in bookish tea, check our last one on Novel Nights. If you go on any of our channels, you can catch the replay. Replays are available. So binge that and then show up for the next bookish tea segment, because there are lots of things that have been happening, like lots of things, and we want to talk about it. But that's it. Thank you so much for joining us again. Next week, Thursday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, we'd love to see you again. So until next time, bye.
Bye.